Hello Taurus, welcome to this reading for the month of December. I hope that it finds you well, and I hope that if this video found its way to you, that it was meant for you. Since this is going to be a general reading for your sign as a whole, some details may not resonate with you, and if that's the case, please feel free to check out another placement, another reader, or just another reading in general. We're starting this month in the aftermath of a partial lunar eclipse, so it's a pretty challenging time during a year that's already challenged a lot of us. And I'm hoping that this reading will help provide some clarity and some insight into what's going to be coming towards you this month, Taurus. So let's get started. First, I'm going to be using this Major Arcana deck, which is the Spiritual Tarot by Archivex Uno. And I like using the Major Arcana only so that I can find what the major central theme of the month is going to be for you. Theme is your December going to have, Taurus. What do you have coming towards you? Oh, interesting. Okay. So you have Justice in reverse. My favorite way to describe that card is whether it's upright or reversed, you get what you deserve. And usually when it's in the reverse position, it's an indication that we've done something that we may feel like was not a very good thing to do. It may have not been very fair, it may have not been very kind, and usually when it follows us like this, it kind of means that, like, you're avoiding the accountability for the action. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from the card right now. But let's find out more. I'm going to use this traditional Rider-Waite deck, and I'm going to use this to find out the details, how this theme's going to play out in your month. Okay. What is the cause of this stressful universe? What's making this happen in life? first off, we have the King of Pentacles in reverse. And we have Two of Swords in reverse. Oh, okay. I think you're not very financially stable right now. Or I think you may not be doing your part as much. And I kind of get a feeling that you're a little bit indifferent towards it. Like with this Two of Swords in reverse here, it's not necessarily that you're indifferent. It's like the kind of rock in a hard place situation that Two of Swords usually comes with. And it's like either you're going to admit your fault in something and like damage that you've caused another person with this behavior, or it's going to be that you kind of just keep on doing it and you keep doing it to this person. So being paralyzed between those two options, you kind of just tend to put it off to the side, not wanting to deal with it right now. And then bottom of the deck is Queen of Swords. So I think you know that you need to be collected about this. You need to have the strength to say something about this. But you're at a point where you just don't want to. And that's fair. It's a human reaction to not want to own up to something that we've done that has potentially hurt somebody else or just been something that we regret. It's totally understandable. But at the end of the day, you do have to think about those around you, and if you would want to be treated the same by them. And also, just think about their feelings in general too. You don't always have to relate to someone to be able to feel bad for them, or feel apologetic, I should say. I'm just gonna get how this is going to manifest itself, and we'll start clarifying some of these cards. Page of Wands in reverse. Okay, I think what this is giving me is basically, I think you are a lot of talk and no action right now. And especially in terms of this, in terms of not quite putting your due diligence in, not putting as much effort as you can into something. It's a kind of the idea of like, yeah, I'm gonna get to that, yeah, I'm gonna do that, yeah, I'll do this later, yeah, I'll take care of that. But you have so much scattered energy with this Page of Wands in reverse that it just slips your mind and you don't do it. And I think that can also contribute to this feeling of the Two of Swords in reverse, because I definitely understand that feeling, and it's a feeling of, I didn't do this intentionally, so I don't want to acknowledge the fact that this action hurt a person, kind of a thing. You don't have malice behind this, you're just kind of, you're pulled in different directions right now, and it's hard for you to focus, which is definitely fair, but I have a feeling that the person this may be affecting is in a similar situation. And they may be just a little salty that they're putting in what they perceive to be their effort, but not receiving enough. And this could just be a situation of conflicting perspectives, but you're never going to find out unless you make the decision to talk about it. this deck over here, and to clarify, I'm going to be using the Aquarian Tarot. This little poker size. I'm very bad at shuffling this small little deck, but I like the clarifications it gives me. First, let's see what this King of Pentacles is in relation to. I feel like it has to do with like the domestic home life side of the material world that Pentacles usually relates to, rather than some sort of business situation or financial situation. I'm getting a kind of like slowly energy from the king here. Ooh, anyway, you have to tell me about this king. Three of Cups and the Sun. I get the feeling that you kind of think that it's not that big of a deal, and that might be another reason why you don't want to acknowledge the situation. Especially if this person that you're dealing with is a friend or something. Just trying to something. But yeah, I think what I'm getting here is that like this may be some kind of like roommate situation, like a group setting, or just like a friend group situation in general. And I think as far as you feel like everything should be fine. You feel like as far as you know, everything's fine. Everyone's all on the same page. And you're definitely not going to be the one to bring it up, basically. Yeah, just seeing the Three of Cups and the Sun together here, for that, it just gives me an ignorance is bliss kind of feeling. Like, why can't we all just hang out and not worry about it instead? Let's see what the Two of Swords is. Who's offering this? Okay. These cards. Alright, for the Two of Swords, we have Ace of Cups, and we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. Earlier when I mentioned being stuck between like a rock and a hard place, either acknowledging to this person that you haven't been pulling your fair share, you haven't been fair to them in some way. And then the other option is to just keep on doing it because you don't want to talk about it. Earlier when I mentioned it, I definitely had a very like on the left hand, on the right hand thought of it, and I think this is further clarification of what those options are. Because if you do the hard thing and you talk to this person and you let them know what you did wrong, you have the opportunity for a new breakthrough in your relationship, whether it's romantic, friendship, whichever. You're just gonna have a renewal of that relationship because it shows that you care about them enough to acknowledge when you've wronged them. Whereas if you continue to keep doing what you're doing, the Knight of Swords is not coming in with anything to say. Still more of that all talk, no action, or all action, no talk at that point. You just keep doing what you're doing and you're not saying anything about it. It's kind of the reverse of the Page of Wands energy here. And it's kind of almost like an evolution of that too. Here, with the Page of Wands, when you are doing that, like I said before, you don't do it intentionally. You don't mean to hurt this person, but your actions inadvertently do that. Oftentimes the page can kind of represent ignorance or immaturity, like not going about things in an experienced way. And I think that's kind of a aspect to it. You didn't mean to do it on purpose, it's just through ignorance of not knowing that it upset that person. But with the Knight of Swords, it kind of takes on this meaner connotation, because now, like, you've acknowledged that you may have done something wrong here, and you're avoiding it with this Justice in reverse. But that meaner connotation is that you know you're doing it, and you're still doing it anyways. Now you're actively choosing to hurt that person. So I think that's what the Two of Swords is trying to tell you here. These are your options. One of them is going to lead to something good, even though it's difficult, and one of them is going to lead to something bad, and still be just as difficult. Let's get at least one card for this Page of Wands here. This is how it's going to manifest itself. Let's see if there's any particular action that's going to accompany that. Get any information about this video, or did we discuss it? Go a couple more times. Oh, there we go. These two. Ooh, okay. We have the Devil upright, and we have Six of Swords in reverse. I'm getting kind of a feeling that something may have happened recently, something that kind of got you kind of down or kicked you while you were down, and you're kind of having some issues moving on from that. And I think that's why initially, I think this person you're dealing with, they were more lenient with you. Like, they wanted to not necessarily give you the benefit of the doubt, but show you some kindness. Like, you had something difficult happen to you, so they wanted to give you a bit of a break. But the longer that you've done this, you're not quite doing the work to actually process whatever it is that you want to move on from, because instead of the upright, where you're moving on from this dark spot, you're still there. You don't want to get out of it because it's too difficult. And again, that thought of having this conversation is too difficult. Moving on from this thing that happened is too difficult too. And through that, you're just going to be indulgent, keep doing what you want to do, and not letting go of the things that are holding you back, unfortunately. Back to this Rider-Waite deck. And see, how should you react to this manifestation? Oh, alright. Six of Swords upright. Time to move on. It's hard to do, it's really hard to process when things like this happen to us. It's hard not to feel so hurt that something like this could happen to you and people would have no remorse for it. I don't really have a sense of what exactly this is. I think something just got you to a place where you're feeling pretty down. But even though it's hard, we have to put in the work to move beyond difficult situations like these. Otherwise, we're just going to stay stagnant like this. Or we start becoming the person that hurts other people. That 6 of Swords right there, that was pretty succinct. No, I'm not gonna go back to this deck. Actually, we're gonna take the Rider-Waite deck, and now we're just gonna take a look at my 3 favorite questions to ask at the end of a reading, which is something to do, something to stop, and something to know. And we do that in that order that time. They tend to change from reading to reading, but today it feels right to do it. Let's start. Wait. 3 of Swords, and it's upright. I think part of you refusing to move on from this hurt is you're refusing to let yourself feel it. I don't know if you went through a breakup recently, and that's the feeling that's coming from here. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship. We just tend to get strong relationship energies with this card, especially seeing that heart. The symbolism of this card is such a striking image. Yeah, I feel like you're keeping yourself from feeling the true hurt of this situation, and that's what's keeping you from moving on. And again, it hurts to do stuff like that, but that's the work we need to do to be able to move on from this situation. So it's telling you you need to start feeling that hurt in order to move past it. Something to stop. King of Swords. I have a feeling that with that 3 of Cups and the Sun up here, how I was describing it before with, oh, you know, like, everything's fine, it's not that big of a deal. I feel like you're very good at smooth talking who this other person is into, you know, like, instead of wanting to take responsibility for it, you tell them, oh, it's just not a big deal. And that's something you need to stop. You need to stop having that logical approach to it where you're kind of almost invalidating that person's feelings. You're telling them, like, I don't care that this upset you, in a way, by doing that. And even if you're not doing it intentionally, that's the message that's being sent across here. And I don't necessarily think you want to have King of Swords energy right now. And that's not me saying it as advice from this reading. I think that's how you feel. I think you want to be more open with this person, and you want to be more direct and discuss actual emotions and not just the bare facts of, like, what is going on in this situation. So I think that is definitely something that you want to stop in order to move forward. No. gosh. Okay, well, we had some jumpers there. The rest of these are definitely fine. Excuse me one moment. Okay, so from those jumpers we have the Seven of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Fool in reverse. So, with this being what you need to know for the month, what I'm getting from these three is a feeling of you've been very stubborn about this. You've been like very adamant that you don't want to deal with this, but things are going to be in your favor soon. That's how fortune works. It's a come and go. It's a cycle. There's always going to be good times and there's always going to be bad times. And I think that's going to be something that you think about when you start processing this hurt. And I think you're also going to realize how immature it's been to keep in with the behavior that you've been having with this person. Yeah, it's going to be only through that experience that you're going to see what you need to do and have the actual strength to do it. Alright, let's go back to this little aquarium deck real quick and see if there's any last messages for this particular reading. If there's anything else we need to know, or get a 5. Ooh, get a 5 of. Alright, you have the 9 of Cups. This may have hurt you so bad to the point that you don't want to process it because it was something it had to do with something you really wanted. And it kind of made you lose that feeling of hope. And that's why you're so closed off. Your feeling is just, I don't need to go through that again. And I'm not going to. But unless you do that, you are never going to be able to actually reach this 9 of Cups. So I think what I'm getting from this is just to keep in mind what your goals and your desires are and how they're still there waiting for you to go after them. We're always going to fail once in a while, even if it's something we thought that we were doing really good at or trying really hard for, but it's never fully unobtainable. Okay, let's clear the area real quick. And then before we go, I'm going to give you guys one last shuffle from... Ooh, I'm just dropping everything today. Alright, one last shuffle from the Spiritual Tarot, and we're going to see what kind of lesson you should be learning from this theme and this month. Like, what sort of lesson should you learn by the end of this month after experiencing this? We have the Hermit. I think with that 3 of Cups and the Sun, like, and the being unable to process things in order to move on, I think you're distracting yourself a lot with your friends, and that's what's keeping you from really thinking about the situation. But you need some of that time alone, not just to be by yourself, but specifically to have some introspection and reflect on what it is that you need and what you want, and also to be able to think about or obtain that strength that you're going to need in order to right this wrong that you have inadvertently done to somebody. And you're going to be a more mature, stronger person after this. And that's honestly a really wonderful energy to go into the new year with, in my opinion. Yeah, so that is your reading for the month of December. I hope it resonated with you. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. I hope that you'll join me again for a future reading, and I really wish you a lot of luck, Taurus. It's not easy to be the bad guy in a situation. It's not easy to acknowledge that we've hurt the people that we care about, but everyone does it at some point, and not everyone owns up to it, and not everyone is willing to do their penance in order to move past it. Instead of evolving, they'd rather repeat those patterns. So I really do wish you a lot of luck, Taurus, and I hope that whatever decision you make is one that will lead you down a prosperous path. And yeah, I'm sending you guys lots of love and light. Take care.